All right, here's a quick video on the upgrades that I did to my Harbor Freight blast cabinet. One of the main things I wanted to do was upgrade the lighting, because the lighting that they give you lights from the back, and you're standing in the front trying to look at the front of what you're blasting, and you can't see it. You can only see the back of it. So this is the Harbor Freight light, and here's the light that I installed. I put it up front, so now whatever you're holding, see if it'll focus there, you can actually see the front of it, okay? And I'll show you what that is here in just a second. So this is the inside of my blast cabinet, and you can see this light that I have up here. The only thing I have holding it in is a zip tie, but honestly it works just fine. And I have the cord ran straight through here. I didn't have to drill any extra holes or anything like that. And I'll show you how I wired that in here real quick. I simply spliced the wire. I cut the cable right here on the inside and ran it through inside this box. Just drilled a small hole through here so it just hangs out right here. You can see I actually tried to epoxy it right there and didn't bother roughing up the surfaces, and didn't work. So anyways, it just hangs right there and goes to my outlet. Another thing I wanted to do was have a vacuum system and a dust separator hooked up. Typically you would run that through right here, but as you can see on the inside it doesn't come with a baffle. But what does come with a baffle is what's supposed to be your intake. Here's the outside of the intake. It comes with a cap. And what I did was ran a shop vac hose into this. I just used a little hole saw, cut a hole here, and kind of did my own way of affixing it to this plug. So now that this will just sit inside of here, and I have it running to a dust hopper, and then that separates the dust and the reusable media if I feel like cleaning it, and then the other tube goes out to my shop vac, and it works really well. Here I've got the shop vac going. I'll try to clean up this audio and watch what happens when I shut the door. Open the door, close the door. And then I just have a cut up t-shirt sitting right here so it can pull air in, and then it pulls air up through the baffle down into my reclaimer system. Another thing you're going to want to do if you want this to work really well is to caulk all your seams, every single one of them. And I did it as I put it together, and I went back through afterwards and made sure everything was caulked very well. It's clear caulk, but you can still see every single seam I have here is caulked all the way around, even underneath, even up under here. Every single seam that you can find on here, you can see where I have my light hanging. I just drilled a little hole right here, and then I put some caulk around here. And if that light burns out, no big deal. I can scrape that off and just replace it with another one. And you can get one of those lights that I put in there at pretty much any local hardware store. If you're having a difficult time getting the media to sift down into the bottom of your cabinet, which comes out through the bottom right here into my regulator valve. There's another video I did on how I put that together real cheap and whether or not it works at different settings. What you can buy, I got this on Amazon right there for my smaller cabinet. It wasn't wanting to siphon down into the bottom of the pickup, so I bought a vibrating motor and I connected it to the back and just wired it into a switch up front, a dimmer switch, so I could control the amount of vibration that I get. And that worked really well. I haven't had any issues with that on my Harbor Freight thus far, but if you do, that's another good upgrade to do. Another upgrade I did that I am not upset whatsoever about spending money on was this foot switch. I believe I got this one from Eastwood online. I'll put a link in the description. And what that does is it keeps you from having to squeeze your hand every time you want to stop or start the flow of your media. You're also going to want a way to regulate the air pressure in your blast cabinet, and the way to do that is with a pressure gauge. And so I typically blast about 90 psi, and what you want to do is you want to get to your blast cabinet and push down your pedal or pull the trigger on the switch and see what this reads right here. Typically from where I'm at here, it loses about 10 psi. So this is going to be blasting at 90 psi. It's not going to be blasting at 100. You have to have air flowing through your nozzle to see how much pressure is actually going through the nozzle.